Everyone, welcome to the new Dictionary of Old Ideas guided tour. The new Dictionary of Old Ideas is an exhibition held in a meat factory. Unfortunately, now we're not able to go there and have a look at the show, so we thought that maybe we can at least provide you with the virtual guided tour. This figure you can see here, it's Ipek. He's our mascot. He's shaped after letter Y because when it comes to Central Europe, there are more questions, there are more whys than answers. Let's get down to it. Okay, first piece you can see over here. This is Sandro Sulaberidze's two-channel installation. So this is actually a view from a camera Sandro made during his residency period, and in his work, he would often refer to a so-called insect view phenomenon. This camera was basically, it was a box. We will have a chance to see it in a while. It was a black box, and on one side of the camera, you have loads of holes through which the image is getting inside. And this is, of course, a stop motion animation of a one scene that we will be able to see right in a second. Also, you probably noticed this catwalk. This is a part of the architecture of the exhibition. Now we're turning right into a second channel, and this is on the back side. You can see the giant bug, whatever it is, and on the back side, there is this camera I've mentioned that is observing the scene. You can see apples that actually were taken from those problematic zones of Georgia, where you never know whether it's Georgia or Russia already. And the bug, of course, is a reference to Franz Kafka book, Franz Kafka novel Metamorphosis. When Sandro was here at residency, he was very much inspired by this novel, and in fact, this wasn't just a quick fascination. He's dealing with this phenomenon of bugs perception in a longer period of time. And this is another piece sorry, I should also mention the title of Sandro's piece, that's Ice and Barriers, Metamorphosis. And this is a long, unending road piece bring to us by Nino, Zirakashvili. And she was collecting stories from women, workers who go abroad, live in Georgia, to work and provide for their families. This is like a big textile piece, and those tiny, colorful bricks. Those are the stories of those women, of those ladies, and every brick is somehow inspired by the textile they were wearing or by the motif that Nino acknowledged during the interviewing with these women. Let's turn around and let's have a look at the piece by Verónica Lahitte titled "We Have Seen the Tiger." And not only a tiger, you can see that there are a lot of different animals over here. Verónica, she was inspired by the story of Florian Pauke, this monk who was born in Silesia, born in Central Europe, you name it, and he traveled to what is now known Argentina, and back then the New World. He was making all of those drawings himself. Veronica found them, scanned them, and turned them into this big installation that resembles of some kind of environmental situation. Here we can see those animals. We can see the all the teeny tiny notes. In fact, he made 33 drawings of animals and 86 drawings that were portraying the daily life. What I find interesting in this piece is that it's this kind of feedback situation when Veronica discovered the the way how Central Europeans back in the ages they look at the new world, and in fact I like to somehow understand it through the situation she was exposed to when she came to Central Europe for the residency, and she had a chance to look at it and also seek for those feedback perspective and stories from the past, as in the case of Florian Pauke. And now we're entering another room, another chamber where a Jiří video is on display. This video will be also available online. I would like you to have a look at it. I will post under this short video. I will post a link to it. Those are footages from archives, and the video is titled "The Depth," the epilogue of a long friendship. The friendship between Czechoslovak Republic from 80s on and Syria. And this somehow reference to the situation we've been facing several years ago, we are facing as Europeans nowadays, the immigrant crisis, the refugee crisis, and our involvement in the situation in Middle East. Of course, the official statement was that there is a why should we be involved at any point, and Jiří here he's trying to unravel the story of a weapon trade of Czechoslovak weapons being sold to Syria that of course now quite plausibly are still in operation, which is kind of showing clearly that there is some kind of link between the Central Europe and Middle East. It is in fact a fascinating video when you can see the Prague Congress Center playing a third character along with two um, business representatives, one coming from the Czech government side, or actually private entity that was privatized in the late 90s, and the other side coming from Syrian side. And now let's have a look. Let's stretch our legs and go for a walk. And the next piece we're just about to see is an artwork by Elena Lavellés. It is called Expanded Stratigraphy Beyond Linear Materialism. Maybe I'd like to quote some lines that Elena wrote about it. What this piece is about is the environmental racism, the ecological depth, corporative imperialism, resilience, and especially the importance of decolonizing not just history but also our concept of nature. This is artwork inspired by the story of Most. For those of you who are living in Czech Republic, you for sure heard at least once about Most because it's a fairly important part of. It used to be a big like an important part of the industry in Czechoslovakia. It is one of the biggest open pit coal mine in the region. And in her piece, she's trying to put together a narrative about the most and the resources. You can see those boxes where you can almost go through the layers, the ground layers. And just so you know, the open pit mines, those are highly unfriendly for the environment, and they leave a massive mark on the environment. They're really something we should be rather getting rid of. Unfortunately, the one in Most is still in operation, and I think in Elena's piece we're gonna have a look at it now when we see her four-channel video, it's almost like as if we were trying to get to have a look at this situation most from the perspective of coal or of any other fossil fuels. This is this four-channel instant projection takes you right into the the liquids and the materiality of natural resources that, as we all know, are being used and abused, and we can't get enough somehow. This is a project that spread between different places, different continents. This is, we can say, another chapter to a bigger project that she was realizing in the United States, in Brazil, in Mexico, and now in Czechia. And I think she found a really great example because most it's very extraordinary site when it comes to natural resources, and it's screaming for being decolonized finally. Okay, let's take a little walk and go to another piece. This is the exhibition. You can see it's not crowded today, luckily. Yeah, and this is another room filled with art pieces by Adéla Součková. Adéla was one of the two Czech participants in the exhibition, and she made those big textile drawings during her residency at at the Silk Museum in Georgia. Some of them have been also produced at another residency in Japan. And what I find really interesting in Adéla's pieces is this capacity to bring together something that is very contemporary, very modern in a way. In this case, those drawings that look alike a, a cave drawings, they you can see often the plains over there, and she would use a lot of techniques that resembling this folk techniques. Also, the plots are often referring to folk saying. Um, in this specific piece, you can see the line about fortune telling from the plains, from plane spotting, from observing the planes. There's those mother figures or human figures that look really indigenous, really primitive, and at the same time, she's often engaging motives that are highly contemporary, that are happening right here and right now. And we're just about to leave this part of the show and have a look at the other one. Maybe I will another look at her pieces. This time, and it's not very common. We decided to combine two galleries: the main Meat Factory gallery with the gallery Kostka, and you will be able to have a look. Okay, now I will switch to another video. And those are the pieces in Kostka Gallery. This is a piece made by Katharina Stadler, titled Ruins Not Yet Built, Solidarity Blueprint. It's a sound installation, believe me or not. I don't know if you can hear it over here. What is inside of those boxes made out of concrete are different speakers, a bigger, smaller bass, tremble speakers, and you can almost hear the sound of birds coming from those speakers. This was also an art piece that was based on a long research done during Katharina's um, residency here at the Meat Factory, and she decided to also tune all of the details, the cabling, the all of the elements. And the Kostka, as you can see, gives a nice place also in terms of the way how the sound moves around. There is this very high ceiling, wooden ceiling, so I can really wander around those and enjoy. Maybe I'm gonna just read some part of the text that she made for it. All the honors, real or imagined, as blueprint, all the ruins and of the future, real or imagined as blueprint, the center of central, real or imagined as blueprint, for a universe continuously expanding. Let's expand a little bit and leave this one for another piece made by Erick Beltrán. Those are something like info panels based on the long research he made during his time here at the residency. He basically approached around 15 people asking repetitively certain questions. How can you visualize power? Which image represents the will of the masses? Which metaphor uh, arts should be called to see this invisible figure? And why is it that power and its representations can easily seduce you? Luckily enough, during his residency and his research, we had those big protests going on. So, in his quite open and very um, general diagrams, you can spot some motives from the big, big demonstrations against the current Prime Minister, Andrej Babiš, that he got all translated, and that was he got all of those transparents and slogans translated, and it was also very important material for him to play with and to look for this universal symbol of power, where it's gonna be a human figure, a lion that's you probably know is it's quite popular when it comes to Czech Republic, the Czech lion, the sword, and how this iconology transform and go the other way in order to criticize the power, to fight the power. You can see over here also some very specific referential points to the Čapí hnízdo case when Babiš was accused of receiving huge money donations, and the Wonderman, the figure from iconology from the past, the guy who's actually holding a massive nest on the top of his head, and there are plenty of birds flying around. So it's a lot of mix of contemporary and historical icons and motives, and also a material element to this exhibition, apart from those panels, would be a mask that we're just about to see. This is the mask, and it was also used uh, as a key element for the footage Erick made now shortly before the opening. It's also going to be hopefully part of the continuation of the project, and you see this broken sword in here, or bandit sword. This was, as I mentioned, part of the footage, and it was also um, the video was being recorded in quite distinguished, typical places for Prague, as Vyšehrad is, for instance, the castle. I think that's pretty much it. I want to show you one element that is actually outside of the gallery space, which is this bus stop. I decided to go for this photo because here you can also see right in the middle Irmina, the author of this piece. It's Irmina Rusicka art piece, and it is titled Mind How You Dance, a Central and Eastern Europe Monument Project. And as you can see, this is the very typical, very banal kind of bus stop, broken, yet somehow put together again. It definitely went through some weird tuning, lifting, you name it. And it's in Irmina's case, she wanted to elevate it to the status of a monument. And now the question is, what is really a monument, and how Central Europe can be monumental? She decided to diminish the role of the monument and combine it somehow with something very everyday, very banal, something that always appear when you're traveling on your own with the public transport somewhere to the center, to the better world, to the better future, and you're waiting for ages at this horrible stop. It's all about this catching up with the rest of the world. It's all about this awaiting for something better to happen, something better to come. I think it's a very Central European condition, so to say. This is it for today. I hope there's still be a chance for you to have a look at the exhibition when it will be reopened. Please have a look also at the information under this video. I will put some valuable links over there. And also, we ask every artist to prepare a short sound piece about their artwork. So you will be also able to listen to their own interpretation of their pieces. This exhibition will continue to Trafostacja Poland in Szczecin, then to Centro Centro in Madrid, and eventually we're going to display it in Silk Museum in Tbilisi. And in the several weeks, hopefully we'll be able to publish book summarizing 2 years of the New Dictionary of Old Ideas project. Thank you very much for your attention and stay tuned.